Hey guys, so welcome back to another video audio wherever you're listening or watching this quick video at. So I'm here with King Sidharth. So if you guys don't know about him, I've already mentioned him on my Instagram a hell lot of times, but if you still don't know about him, I'm gonna let him introduce himself right over here. All yours.
What's up? What's up, folks? So I'm Siddharth. I go by the name of King Sidharth online. And as marketers, you will understand the value of a unique, identifiable brand name that you can never forget. And one of the things I do is design. And I got started in design very early on. I was in 10th grade when I got introduced to programming, coding, HTML, making websites. And then I realized, hey, startups, technology, and design, like these three things excite me a lot. So I got deeper into it, worked with a bunch of startups, including a startup you would have heard of, Instamojo, where I was part of the founding team for 6 years. We built that platform. And right now I'm with Headout, managing product and design there. We sell experiences across the world. So COVID-19 has hit the business hard, but before that we were selling in all countries across the world and selling to international tourists, figuring out language barriers, culture barriers, how tourist behavior happens, those kind of barriers. And I'm fascinated, and another reason this collaboration is happening because marketing and people working in marketing and people who understand how to sell and how to build brands. These two people I work very closely with, so I have great respect for. And that is where I've picked up a lot of design and how people think and perception and psychology as well. Because as designers and marketers, we both deal with psychology of human beings, with decision making of human beings, right? You want them to press the button to buy. I want them to press the button to buy, right?
Yeah.
So we have common alignments. That is where this collaboration made a lot of sense, and super excited that finally Karan started his YouTube channel. Uh, so super
Yeah,
excited to
hopefully
collaborate.
the consistent content stays on, because I've like started all these channels and podcasts and everything and stopped in between, so hopefully this time it stays consistent.
It happens countless times, Karan, but like I assure you, like if you have people like me around who will keep haunting you till you come back, then you're sorted.
Perfect, man. Perfect. So, talking like I've got like the whole list of questions prepared for you. Some of them are from me personally, what I wanna ask you to help me out personally, and some I actually put out an Instagram poll, as you know, just asking my audience a few questions what they wanna ask you about. So starting off with number one, as you mentioned, marketing and this whole design and consumer behavior and everything, it goes all together. So now, when it comes to now in terms of marketing, there's like two major sides. One is creative and one is media buying, analytical, and all of that type of stuff. Now, I'm not much into the creative side. I'm more into the analytics, the numbers, and all of that. But are there any few design principles, creative principles, all of that that could help any type of analytical media buyer out with their marketing campaigns?
Yeah, I think there's tons of things analytical people can understand about design that will help them not only understand the why behind the analytics and the numbers, but be able to come up with better hypothesis given the data of what could be done better about in the creatives. Because in the end, the results you're seeing in the analytics is because a human being saw a creative on their screen
Yeah,
and interacted with it, right? And that
yeah.
is what designers deal with. While you, as a marketer, are dealing with cohorts,
Hmm.
and you're dealing with sets of people, you're dealing with certain user bases, you're dealing with market areas, and the target markets.
Hmm.
Designers dealing with that individual interaction, right? So that is what you look when you look at that 10% conversion somewhere or click through rate. What you're really saying is that one out of every 10 human beings found this interesting enough to click through. Now, how did they find this interesting enough to click through? That is what design talks about, right? And
Okay.
one of the things we just started talking about before this call started was editing can be so difficult because you have to guide the attention,
Yeah.
right? And with creatives, that is exactly what you're doing. First, I catch your attention. Hey, look here, right? Look here. And now read this. And now after that, read this. And then only after reading these two sentences do you read this and click here, right? The easiest way for me to highlight that is the dark practices we see, right? You will see two download buttons. The
Yeah.
wrong button is bigger. The reason it's made bigger is because it's a design principle that bigger things catch more attention, right? So if you look at marketing and design world, We share a common historical ancestor in advertisement industry. And advertisement industry is ancient, right? If I
Yeah.
can afford a little bit of history, nature is the first advertiser, right? Where it uses flowers to advertise to, insects that
Hmm.
there is sugar available here, that there is certain kind of things available here, and the healthiness of the plant, right?
Hmm.
So the insect comes around looking at that ad, sits around and does its job of pollination, right?
Yeah.
But what you realize that in between, the flower is getting its job done, the plant is getting its job done, which is pollination. But
Hmm.
the insect is not there for pollination, right?
Yeah.
The insect is there for its own benefit, which is the sugar, right?
Hmm.
And that's sort of, you realize how ads work as well. That what you want is business, but what the customer wants is benefit. They don't even
Okay.
want the feature you're talking about, right?
Hmm.
That is why we talk about feature versus benefit. That is another interesting study from psychology of design, right?
Yeah.
People don't buy, drill machines. People
Ah,
buy
the
it.
pearls.
Uh,
Yeah. Hmm.
but designer comes in and says, no one buys goes to a store and goes like, give me a 1.5 inch hole. People are doing holes because they want to do something with those holes. They want to hang a
Yeah.
painting. They want to make some contraption, right? So there's an n number of this thinking applied on itself, which is where designers and marketing people share this idea of that there is an intent of a customer in the economy, and
Hmm.
and there's an attention of that customer in the economy. And if you grab the attention, then you're highly likely to grab the wallet as well. But if you fail to grab the attention and guide it, then
Hmm.
ain't nothing happening with the wallet, right? And these are some of the principles that we share as marketers and designers coming back from the advertisement world. And you will see this collaboration happen in graphic design, right? Poster ads, newspaper ads, sale, 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 right? And I remember if you remember Diwali, right, in India,
Yeah.
uh, if a shop does not have those lights outside and it's
Yeah.
not written like sale, 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 you'll think like maybe somebody died in their family, so they're not celebrating, so let's not go and disturb them, right? That's most likely going to be your conclusion, because that's the aesthetic, that's the design signal that you're giving, right?
Yeah.
So there's another core principle marketers and designers share is signaling and affordances and signifiers to the user that this is what the product or service does. This is what it allows you to behave like, right? Google allows a user to be smarter, right? While the problem you want to sell literally is it allows you to search for anything, but for a customer, it's like I'm smarter as a result of it, right? Because I can search for anything. So that the problem at the end, right? The building that shared understanding, building this signaling that this is what the product does, right? Aspirational products do that a lot, right? You want iPhone doesn't talk about features, doesn't talk about RAM, doesn't talk about any of that stuff. And if you want to
Yeah.
look at the importance of design, you don't need to look too far. Then look at Apple, one of the most valuable company in the world, who worship design. And there's a reason they worship design, because there's a reason they command such high profit margins in a competitive market like phone market, and God, for God's sake, like earphones market, right? It's all design, right? And it's not design how again, Steve Jobs died saying this. It's not about how it looks, it's about how it works, it's about how it feels, right? And what he meant is that it can look amazing, but if I plug it in and it doesn't behave the way I expect it to, if the voice keeps breaking up, I'm not going to be very happy, right? The reason we don't talk about RAM in iPhone ever, because it doesn't matter how much RAM is there in iPhone, because they made sure it doesn't matter, right?
Hmm.
And that is why they're years ahead in those games in product building and product marketing, right? I
Hmm.
love the marketing campaign from Apple on iPad. Like, we create tools that
Yeah.
give people tools to build more tools, right? And
Hmm.
build more art. And as an iPad owner who loves drawing and sketching, I know what he's talking about. I know that messaging speaks to my heart, because what a fantastic, wonderful tool. Like, it's amazing. I don't have to worry about colors. I don't have to worry about paper. I don't have to worry about brush. Like, like otherwise as an artist, I'm like, oh shit, like I want to do painting, but like this color is out. Only red color is over. Like,
Hmm.
it's really weird, these real life concerns, and technology is supposed to remove that. And that's how they thought about. So long trajectory away from our core topic, but again, revolving on the same topic, that as designers and marketers, we share a lot of common principles because we share a common origin in the world of advertisement, and in the world of selling, and in the world of visual selling, right? More than
Yeah.
anything else, in the world of psychological selling. And that is where we share a lot of, our roots. and that is why we have a lot of shared principles. In fact, so much so that both of us want the user to click the same button, and we measure our success by the same CTR rate,
Yeah.
and it comes down to that at times. Yeah.
Perfect, perfect. Okay. So now you mentioned that we measure it by CTR rate, like the same types of metrics, right?
Right.
So in your opinion, do you think designers, like the more creatives compared to analytical people, okay, do you think they should measure something, some other metrics when it comes to user behavior? You know, any other metrics, or would the metrics be similar?
So they're similar, but there's a slight difference between how marketing measures it and how design measures it.
Okay.
For marketing, conversion and the CTR, right, the click-through rate, may be a primary lead metric. That's how you know ads are working or not.
Yeah.
But for a designer, a click-through rate is a lag metric, because
Okay.
whether the click happened or not was a result of the overall design,
Hmm.
right? So
Yeah.
for a designer, maybe the attention map, the heat map, or the eye tracking map is the
Yeah.
primary metric, right? Was I able to guide the attention in? You can look up these things called F and Z reading patterns. There's a reason we keep the logo on top left on websites, right? Because that's how eyes navigate. And when you switch to
Right.
Arabic, it switches around, right? And then
Yeah.
you go from right to left, right?
Yeah.
And we call these F and Z reading patterns. That's why you make the layouts of certain websites in a certain way. News websites make layout in certain ways to maximize the number of headlines you will be able to see in one scan,
Hmm.
right? So increasing the chances of a keyword or an image that catches your attention and increasing the CTR, right?
Yeah.
So me as a designer, even what happened before that click-through rate is what is a lead metric, right? So I'm looking at attention guidance, right? I'm looking at those interactions. So bounce rate becomes important for me, right?
Yeah.
Because it tells me that uh, there was no chance the ad even got time to load, right? For
Hmm.
this person through it. There's no chance landing page even loaded the main video, which is our
Yeah.
main selling point, right? Let's say we know from data that people who watch the video on a landing page are 10% more likely to convert than people who don't watch it.
Hmm.
But as a designer, I will start looking at, hey, boss, we need to do something. Instead of maybe loading the video of YouTube, which takes time, maybe we show an image, and when user clicks, that's when we load the video. Why? Because it improves the performance, and it increases the chances of somebody seeing that there's a video, and increases the chances of number of people clicking through, therefore overall conversion, right? So I'm working a few steps ahead of whether the ads are working or not. So I can give you as a designer, as when your designer marketer collaborate, what you want from that designer is multiple hypotheses on how this product or service can be sold, how this
Okay.
landing page can tell a story, and that's what you want to A/B test, right?
Yeah.
Maybe if any of you follow like somebody like Gary Vaynerchuk on TikTok, he
Hmm.
does his subtitles in very different way than most of us do
Yeah.
subtitles,
Yeah.
right? And that's a worthy A/B test experiment. One of the A/B tests I remember doing on ad, this thing, I designed beautiful ad, well balanced design, everything, right? And then this amazing marketer I worked with comes up to me and says, "Give me an ad that looks really terrible, like it was designed in MS Paint." And I did not understand what this person meant. Okay, but they understood their market. They understood well that in their market at that moment, because of certain agencies and free creatives, the market was flooded with good-looking ads. So they
Yeah.
made really bad-looking ads, and the CTR was through the roof. Like it was through the roof, because again, in a world where their target customer were bombarded by similar looking ads, this
Hmm.
person had the knowledge to notice that pattern and do something different.
Yeah.
And that's when you start to bringing the creative side, that if
Hmm.
you as a marketer are not getting the results, these are the some of the things you can look at of how different visually or messaging wise you are from your competition to be able to derive that unique result. The
Yeah.
And there's a balance. There's like a curve. The closer you if you go too far away from what people expect, it won't work. But if you stay too close to what people expect, people ignore it, right?
Hmm.
So you're gonna look different enough, but not too different. But how do you
Yeah.
balance that? That's where design comes in.
Okay. Okay, fine.
So in
Wow.
terms of metrics, bounce rate, attention, there's a plugin, there's a software called Figma where you can use this plugin called Visual Eyes, where you can create your ads and upload your ad JPEGs and run this plug. There are a bunch of these plugins which will, using AI, will tell you where the eyes are likely to move attention to.
Wow.
So
Okay.
before you launch your ads, you can actually test various copies before sending a single penny, that which ad grabs more attention. right? And does better at
And is
that.
this accurate? What do you think? Is this accurate?
No, it's not. It doesn't have to be accurate, right? But it's good enough signaling. Let's say you have 20 ad variations. It
Hmm.
helps me narrow down to 10, which is good enough for me,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because I don't want to spend money on testing out 20. If it narrows my result down to reasonable degree of confidence to 10, I'm happy because now I'm spending half the money I would have spent to
Yeah.
test ads.
Perfect. Okay. Wow, dude. That's like I've been seeing all of these memes and everything like in the past few months actually about all this Figma and everything, how it beats Adobe XD or Sketch or something else, a few other softwares, and it's like next level, man. Now I understand Figma is like just this one thing. I'm not sure about the other softwares, but just this one thing, it's like I'm blown. Like I'm next level going after it, you know?
Perfect. I'll make you a quick tutorial later on.
Yeah, perfect, perfect. Okay, so yeah, now I wanted to ask you actually we had got on a call like a few days back, I think. Yeah, so you had mentioned that how does Apple, you had given the example of Apple again, and how do they actually sell like all of these overpriced stuff and how do they make sure that people trust their brand and all of that? So what do you think? Are there any design principles or anything that can actually help consumers trust a brand or trust a product better?
Yeah, I think there are wonderful principles you can understand from Apple's perspective, which will help you explain why they're Apple sheep like me, who refuse to buy that half price product and will pay a premium, knowing that the hardware and software are not at par with what is the best in the market,
Hmm.
but still knowing that the overall experience is going to be of the ecosystem is going to be far better, right? And we often hear this talk of ecosystem, which means if you bought one Apple product, then you will buy the second, the third, the fourth, and the fifth, and the sixth, right? Which is a marketer's dream, upselling. Like I've acquired you once, now I'm just keeps upselling
Yeah.
you without showing you any ads because it's the best day ever. So there are a bunch of things you want to understand, right? And the way I want to start about it is take a completely different perspective of how Apple thinks about these things, and that's a very design-oriented perspective, right? There's a
Hmm.
beautiful video, and a bunch of my favorite YouTubers made a similar video, but you can find it, which is there is no iPhone 11, right? Which means if you have Apple Watch and and your what do you call AirPods
Airport.
Pro,
Yeah.
right? Practically speaking, you can use most of the functionality of the phone without ever taking out the phone. I can take a call, I can respond to messages, I can check time, I can do n number of things, messages, respond to messages, WhatsApp, text, whatever, right? I can even make purchases at
Hmm.
times without picking up my phone, which means Apple, the way they're thinking about these products is not that they want to sell you more of iPhone. They're
Hmm.
thinking that these are some behaviors that human beings do, and then there are temporary products in the market that help consumers do that.
Yeah.
And we want to be able to come up with better and better products that help you do that behavior.
Hmm.
And we don't care about what product it is. That is why they're able to come up with an iPhone that cannibalizes their what do you call their own iPod, and then they come up with Apple Watch and AirPod Pro, which and eventually glasses, which will cannibalize the iPhone,
Hmm.
right? Because then they don't care about the line of product, right? They care about the behavior. And this is one of the key insights that I personally admire Steve Jobs about.
Yeah.
People say that you can't, and I really believe you cannot sell people new behaviors. It's not possible. But you can sell people new ways to do the behavior they already do, right? So
Yeah.
cereal was damn difficult to sell, but there was a habit of munching something in the morning, right? And once you make it about milk and this thing, now there's a breakfast as a culture we do it, right? Now there are tons of advertisement about healthy breakfast, this
Hmm.
breakfast, meat breakfast, non-meat breakfast, vegan breakfast, like whatever breakfast you want, right? And same things we do with toothbrushing, right? Toothbrushing was invented by marketers, right?
Oh.
Now oral hygiene is like a full complicated line of business,
Hmm.
right? And you can keep adding. Think about hand sanitizers. I remember being in a time when hand sanitizers were not a thing,
Hmm.
and then suddenly they became a thing. Now, did
Yeah.
you introduce a new behavior? No, I do this thing usually. What you did was gave me a better way without water, soap, and all of that to do that behavior. What
Hmm.
I did, people go like, "Oh, Steve Jobs knew, Apple knew that we will want an iPad before anybody knew they want an iPad." That's not true. People were using touchscreen. People were using big screens. They just combined the two and went like, better way to use big screens, right?
Hmm.
same behavior of using screens, but a better way to do it, right?
Yeah.
So these are age-old behaviors. New behaviors emerge once in 20, 30, 40 years, right? But new ways of doing those behaviors,
Yeah.
right, keep emerging constantly, right? And that is where what you want to understand from design, that as marketers, right, you don't want to sell one product, right? Because that's sale.
Yeah.
That's sales. You failed your job at a marketer if you just done one sale and you stopped there. You've only acquired a customer when you know now reacquiring that customer is cheaper than ever before. That's when you've done your job as a marketer. You built a brand, right? And that is what the line of thinking you require to do. That's why so many people will give you advice: create content that makes you redundant, because that's when you will come up with a better way of doing this, and that's why people will pay you a premium, right? And that is why people will hire you as a freelancer, because you have so many tutorials of how to do the basic things. Now only premium projects come to you, right? So this is the way of line of thinking that Apple and design allows you to do, and that is thinking in terms as like a designer, not design thinking necessarily, which is a historical term used in very different connotations, very confusing outside design world. But thinking like a designer means you think about the problems and the behavior, not about product, not about money, not about any of this, right?
Yeah.
That's why that is how you end up creating product and a marketing pitch where people look at the product and go like, shut up and take my money. And there's no question of, oh, will you give me a discount coupon? But the other competition is selling it at like 10% less. But there's only like all those questions are not about pricing. This is another thing I learned like working with startups a lot. Pricing pages, great marketing and design lesson. No pricing page in the world which is about pricing. It's all about value for that price. Because price, if I want to tell you, I could tell you on homepage, $5 a month. But that's not $5 a month what it's about. I have to tell you why $5 a month. Is it worth $5 a month? How does my competition fare to $5 a month? Can I tell you a story which is $5 a month? Can I put other two programs which make this $5 a month look even more appealing? Right? That's why you will always see those two weird pricing models which don't make any sense. They are designed to make you click to the one which is most profitable for the company. Right? So that is why we always talk about as designers, pricing page is never about pricing. It's about decision making. It's about convincing. It's about giving enough value and trust, right? So that brings us to the question of trust. How do you build trust using design? Right? A very important discussion. What is trust, right? Trust is signaling. It's communication that, hey, what you know me, right? That is why as marketers, we love getting attention. We love getting in front of people, right? That is why we want brand visibility and brand awareness. People love measuring brand awareness, but true brand awareness can really be measured in really, really lag terms. When people stop asking you too many questions, basic questions like, hey, how do I know you're real? You know you have spent your brand awareness money well, right? It's very weird how to measure that, right? And that is what brand awareness means, that I've seen you. That's why Paytm spends so much money on sponsoring IPL. Did they get more downloads? Probably not. No one is sitting there downloading Paytm right now. But people who have Paytm and people whose parents were not convinced about Paytm have now gone like, yeah, the company will not fail because they sponsored cricket. Signaling, right? So marketing world uses signaling to tell the customers that we are here. We are old since 1969. What is that for? That means we are ancient. We know our shit. We are professional. We've been doing this for over 100 years, right? That is the communication and signaling they want to do. So this signaling, if you understand, is how we build trust. So there's two things worth looking at. There is something called standards, usability standards, right? If you go to a checkout page and if you don't see 100% secure, SSL, this thing, right? A lot of us like literally copy paste those creatives on our landing pages without even knowing what they mean, because the customer does not convert if you don't put them there, because they expect to see those elements, design elements there, right? They expect to see the security lock, pay securely and all that jazz, right? That because it's psychologically driven. So what are the standards, right? What are the expectation of the customer is how you build trust. Don't break expectation, right? That is the first principle of design you can take as marketers, that the moment you break expectation in a way that does not benefit me is the moment you break trust. For example, you said this product cost $10.99, but on the final checkout page, it became $11.99. That's a way of breaking of trust in a way that does not benefit me, and therefore decreases the chance of me converting. You do
Yeah.
the reverse. You show $11 and you then show $10.99. You provoke expectation in a way that benefits me. I am actually gonna think, hey, this is a bug. Let me check out before this person catches this bug. And
Yeah.
we have literally used that dark pattern to at times do sales.
Hmm. Okay, so
Like
you're saying
make
if
people believe that they got a discount code that by mistake
yeah.
that does not exist.
Okay. So is it like if they get a discount code and everything that they haven't expected, is it like that exclusive type of their special, that's why they use it?
Yeah, you can create that sort of feeling as well. There are
Yeah.
multiple ways to look at it, right? What
Okay.
I'm saying is that don't break my expectation, right?
Yeah.
If I expect discount code to work and it doesn't work, I'm pissed off. If I expect
Yeah.
the total to not increase and it increases because you added service charges and a convenience fee, my conversion will drop because
Yeah.
each every level you're eroding the trust, right? And at every level you can build the trust as well by informing more, by saying more, right? That's why I put 100% money back guarantee, no question asked, 30 days. Favorite creative of marketers. Why? It's talking about that boss, there is no consequence to this action. You can reverse this action anytime you want. You get your time, you get 30 days. I won't ask any question. It'll be easy peasy. Here are testimonials of other people who tried it. So these are signaling you're doing, right?
Hmm.
That is why you want to give so many testimonials, and that's why you want crappy looking testimonials in video because they look more authentic.
Yeah.
Because if they were real, made by real customer, they won't like set up lighting and like make it look nice.
Hmm.
That's edited. That's why people you watch live on Instagram and YouTube more, right? Because it's more authentic. Because post-produced looks more like it could be faked, right? It could be being spoken that way. And these are subconscious. And these, remember, your customers are not thinking about this consciously. They're not sitting with checklist. Acha, security sign check, big button check. They're not doing that, right? It's subconsciously being processed by the brain because brain is a pattern recognition machine. If on
Hmm.
every checkout page I've seen 100% secure and only on your page I don't see it, you know what my brain will tell me? You know what? I don't trust it. I don't have any reason. I don't know why, but maybe I will just switch the tab and watch a YouTube video before I check out. And now you know what I'm going to do. Never going to check out, right?
Hmm.
Very rarely I'm going to check out. And those are the people you see never converting, even though their time stay on the page. Is like on like some
Hmm.
ungodly, like they've been on the page for 24 hours, 48 hours, but they're not converting. Why? Because they've given up. Decision fatigue has happened, right?
Hmm.
And these are the principles. This understanding the expectation of the user is how you can build this. And one of the tools as marketers you can look up is user journey maps. What user journey maps are emotionally mapping out what happens to customer way before they buy your product or interact with your product or ad, and way after, right? So you
Hmm.
can design from both perspective that where might a customer come from, in what mood might they look at your ad, and then how do they convert. One of the ads I love were by Zomato, run on like Pornhub or something, which is Are You Hungry or some campaign they did, right? Which was like took over like marketing blogs by a storm because it was really well thought of. And the
Yeah.
reason it was well thought of because they understood where the customers are coming from, how they will interact with the ad, and what will happen afterwards, right?
Yeah.
So user journey maps are a beautiful example, a tool marketers can use to leverage the emotional and creative aspect of marketing that may not be accessible readily to you at this moment.
Okay, okay. Now you had mentioned something about knowing what the user actually wants, knowing its expectations, all of that. Now I don't know how it came into my mind, but the
Uh-huh.
minute you said that, I was thinking, when it comes to content creation, what does the user actually expect? So all of these Instagram videos, all of this content, I don't know how, again, the topic we were talking about is something different. I don't know how it
Right.
came into my mind, but I wanted to ask you that, like when it comes to content and all of these videos and all of that, is there anything when it comes to the design aspect of it, is there anything that could improve the engagement or reduce the drop-off rate and all of that type of stuff?
Right. I think I love this. I love this question because this will allow us to talk about so much more, which is common between and we started with this talking about attention, right?
Yeah.
As marketers and designers, we deal in people's attention, and that's what. And once we lose attention, we have failed at our job, right? It's carrying that attention to doing various things that we want to be able to do. Now,
Hmm.
coming to videos and content creation, right? Now, let's talk about how do you do research for content, right? You go to, let's say, other people who have created that content, look at questions there. You talk to some people who are starting out in that field, or you talk to some expert on what kind of questions. They get multiple ways to gather questions. Here what you're doing is you're trying, not only are you getting the question, the language of the question, because you get like, okay, people asking how to set up a drop shipping campaign. That's the most popular question people, let's say, are doing these days. But let's say you make a video on drop shipping, right? Now you know as a marketer that if you put it on YouTube or anywhere else, like an ad, the CTR and the retention is going to be everything on that video, right? How many people click through that thumbnail, and then how long do they retain while watching that video? Now let's talk about the first part. How do I get you to click through that video, right? That as a designer, how would I like to think about it? First thing I'll do is I'll go back to users' language, right? When they were asking questions about drop shipping, what language were they using? What words were they using? What expressions were they using? Most were using, bro, I'm excited about digital marketing. Where can I learn about drop shipping? I am confused about this, right? I'm confused about that. So confusion, learn, digital marketing, drop shipping, right? So I'm exactly. And now I may make a thumbnail which has all those keywords and write the copy in a way, right? Every dropshipping 101, a complete guide for marketers, no confusion guaranteed, right? So something like that I may come up with. That's just one random example, because I use something called, keyword research the way we do. Again, keyword research in SEO is slightly different. In user experience is slightly different. In user experience, I'm looking for the phrasing you do, right? I'll give you a very interesting example. In Instamojo, when I was working, we used to call our product offers. And what they were is, you list something on website, you give it a title, give it a price, and now you can collect payment for it. But time and again, whenever we did research, we realized people were calling it links, because in the end you got a link where you collected a payment. And because they used to collect payment on that link, they started calling it payment link. And I kid you not, the day we changed homepage copy from offers to create a payment link, our conversions, because now we were speaking customers' language, right? We payment gateway, this, that, everything we tried, but customer was like, I don't want payment gateway. Payment gateway, in their mind, how they were thinking about payment gateway, I get code, then I get developer, then they do integration. But that's not what I want. I want click, 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 give me link, I want payment, which is payment link, right? And this, because what we don't realize is words are not one-to-one dictionary mapping in people's head. When I say apple, it's not tied to one single apple in your head. It's tied to concepts. It could be fruit apple, company apple, this apple, that apple, all those apples, right? When I say, let's say, something called smooth surface, right? That's not one example in your head. It's a whole concept of surfaces. What is smoothness? How do you feel smooth surface? You're getting the point, right?
Yeah.
So designers now start to think, first they use language to connect with the user, to play with their mental models. I don't want to use, an ad to say words to you. Please click here to buy the cheapest. That's the most boring ad copy, right? And I saw like beautiful travel ads. All it said, beautiful pictures. It said you could be here, 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 here. That's all, right? Aspirational copy. What is that copy? You could be, and here repeated 5 times. That's it. Somebody got paid shit tons, and I'm glad they got paid shit tons for that, for that ad copy, because it's brilliant, because it plays with my mental models. And that's writing a copy and making an ad, sort of that like a designer. And when you, that CTR thumbnail like a designer. And now coming to holding attention, one of the experiments I did, started adding sound effects, right? So when I changed screen, I realized like when you're watching this video, you are looking into our eyes, you're looking into our topics, you're looking at my hands, you're looking at various signals that I'm giving for communication. The more signals I reduce, let's say I sit like this, right? And I'm talking with a straight face. And now you're starting to get real bored. Like in real bored, it started with that. Because we are using various, cues to keep communicating with each other, which is how our attention is held. Now, one of the things I can do is pop up a visual here, right? Like use some sort of visual, use a meme that will hold your attention. So if you check out my YouTube videos on long interviews, on the longer interviews, I'll always make sure I add memes, right? In between, just visual memes, just pop up on screen on my face while the other person talking. One person was like, there are so many meetings, and I just go like, there's that meme which emerges. All it does is just hold attention 1 second longer. Variety, interest, right? not non-monotony. It's the same way we listen to music. It's the same way we do these things. So, right. So holding attention is an art, and performance artists can learn that, and designers know a lot about that as well. So
Hmm.
how can you keep visual variety? Is how you can improve video retention, right? A lot of visual variety, a lot of tonal variety. If I keep talking to you in this tone for the rest of the interview, you will be extremely bored. But if I keep a lot of variation in my voice, that's when I have your attention. I pace up
Yeah.
some sentences, I slow down some sentences, right? So this is the variety that you can use in different medium, visual, auditory, effects, all these different mediums to hold attention, right? And that's thinking about a YouTube video like a designer. How do I design this video so at no point did the user spend or the person watching spend too much time looking at the same thing or talking about the same thing for too
Yeah.
long? That's why
Okay.
you will see on normal videos people add titles, right? it,
Yeah.
it could have been single video, but they like na 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 title comes in. I'm going to talk about this. So now we're going to talk about topic number 3. It gives a reason for a break. It's relief. It's a visual relief.
Yeah.
That's why we do it.
Okay, cool. That okay. So then I can at least shit, man. Now I know Instagram content. YouTube, though I just started out, but Instagram
Right.
content I can improve it a bit. You know?
Same. High five. And now you know why people do add memes, right? What is the reason for adding these memes?
Yeah, yeah. Because I see a
You
lot
won't.
of these, like
Yeah.
not educational creators, but a lot of these influencers, like these video YouTubers, all of them, that a lot of memes, like a lot. Okay, like every 2 to 3 minutes there's a meme, out of a
Right.
15-minute video. So it's like now I get it. Now I understand it. Hmm.
Right. And this is what it's all about, visual interest, and that is why they have like so many characters they play, comedians you will see. And the best way to, if you want to see, comedy is way more popular on YouTube in India, and
Hmm.
they have the best retention on videos. And they are watch it, look at some of those videos, and you will see how masterful comedians are in variety and narration of jokes, in segues, right,
Yeah.
to keep variety ongoing, and then in loop backs, right.
Hmm.
So, like we are right now looping back to the same point we started with again, that both of us marketers and designers deal in holding attention and guiding attention. Long term, short term, all of those things is what we do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just look back in a way that has a good recall. That is again like talking about design, right?
Yeah, okay. So then, wow, okay, that explains it well. Yeah, so okay, so now next question. Um, okay. So basically now I've been trying to get into the software space since like months now. Okay, doing my research, messing around with a couple of ideas. I think I had got on a call with you also a few months back about one software idea. Yeah, so like I've been doing my research into this whole SaaS space and all of that. Okay, and I've been seeing that all of these companies, the SaaS with SaaS products and everything, UI UX is a big deal. Okay, I know
Right.
that much. But like with all of these big brands, big players, Apple and Microsoft and all these big players, okay, they invest so much of time, effort, money into UI UX, but how can we as a startup make a big difference in the lives of consumers when it comes to the competition who are big players who are already putting in the time and effort into UI UX? Is there anything like what do consumers look for in design? That's basically my question.
Perfect. I think love that question. Though I'm going to start on a slightly different trajectory, like
Okay.
from an operations perspective, and
Hmm.
then come to the consumer perspective. From an ops point of view, as a person who's doing this alone or a very small team of a SaaS company, who does not have the wherewithal to compete with big companies with big UI UX teams, you have an advantage, which is agility and speed. Because your code base is small, it's not that old, the team is so not so big, there's not so much bureaucracy. You can move decisions faster and you can improve faster than the competition,
Hmm.
which means you can launch a TikTok tomorrow and do faster design iteration, right?
Yeah.
So you can build a better design product than TikTok for sure. Whether better design is a advantage in that market or not is a secondary question, right?
Yeah.
Even though if you look at TikToks, if you ever use TikTok, like their editing tools are so powerful, so good. What would have taken me 1 week to do on Premiere Pro and all the professional editing tools, I can do in few seconds on TikTok, right? So it's really powerful in that sense, and that's where you understand that technology, right, and startups and SaaS is about leverage. And what leverage this business model of software gives you is you write that code once, but people use and pay you money for it over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Right? That is why it scales. That is why it scales amazingly well. That's why when WhatsApp got acquired for $1 billion, there were only 50 people in their team. That's it. 50 people. And that was a massive acquisition that happened for $1 billion, right? So that is the leverage of technology, right? And that is the same leverage of design. So when you add both of these leverages, right, that is when you get an exponential growth forward, right?
Yeah.
If you look at Snapchat, my parents, even if I gave them tutorial after tutorial, they will never understand Snapchat. They just won't. And it's designed to do that. It's designed to alienate a certain class of consumers, right?
Oh, yeah.
What do those consumers want? They want exclusivity. Teenagers want exclusivity. They want privacy, right? They don't want their family to be using the same messaging app as them for multiple reasons. It's just not on the same network, right? And these are the inherent design understanding on that product that works, right? Now let's talk about a SaaS tool you're building. Let's say you build to start building a dashboard for ads. As simple as that. Like very simple example. Like I've seen this example multiple times. In fact, in one of the data analytics and engineering things, this is one of the common things they build. Let's take API for Google Analytics, like take API of Google ads and YouTube ads and Instagram ad and build a more better dashboard on top of that, right? So how now multiple people can do that, so much so that some of this code is open source and available out there. So what is your advantage? Why will I pay you or use your software? Okay, your software looks better, but then the question, somebody else will hire a better, more hardworking design team who can make it look even more better and animate it better and win that over. That's where you have to get deeper into design and understand about how design builds habits, right? If I get you addicted to the way Skype works, and Karan right here loves the way Skype works, even though I offered him like, let me record on Zoom for you. I have a paid Zoom account. He's not ready to switch over Zoom, right? And Zoom is giving him free account for one-on-one recording, right? Why isn't he switching to Zoom? Is it too different? Maybe not, but there's a habit that is built because it's been a very traditional software. It's just very easy to use. That is not worth switching over, right? That is what we call the cost of switching or the cost of learning. There are two things you want to think about when you're building SaaS products, right? What is the cost of switching to this product if I already use one? Or what is the cost of learning a software if I've never used a software? These two questions are what consumers want to answer, and design helps reduce this cost. That is how you want to think about it, right? So if you want to steal Snapchat users and you know you have a better idea because whatever, you got an idea that you can send audio only Snapchat. Now you got to get better designed, easier to use than Snapchat to start moving the Janta over with this better proposition of better behavior, right? Let's say you design. So, but is design alone? No, because visual aesthetic is not what consumers are talking about. Design is asking for this user, what is the cost of switching over? That is an emotional question. At times, it's about leaving the brand you know. It's about trying to trust the brand you don't know. That is why I keep coming back to the same point that us designers and marketers have a lot in common in building trust, relationships, and all those things. Because then I will go back to my marketing team and go like, now most of the people are not converting because they've not seen our logo before. They don't know our company before. Produce N amount of content in their field, hire experts, do webinars with them. So we are seen with experts in their field countless times so as to build trust, right? So I know because my ad copy is working, everything is working. It is here where, this is holding back. So that is where you start to realize, okay, the cost of switching back was trust factor. So this is how I can tilt this over. Or another way to look at this cost of switching or learning is at InstaMojo, we did a rebranding when I was working there, and we redesigned the entire software, right? But imagine if I redesigned everything. Let's imagine, Karan, you have a staff of 100 people, and you spend 1 week every single time you hire a person on training them how to use the software, right? And one day you wake up and no work is happening in your company because the company has changed the design and no one knows how to use it anymore. How will you feel? You're going to fire that company there and there. You're like, you stopped my business for your pleasure, like unacceptable, right? This is the cost of switching and learning, right? So when we did redesign, we changed all the colors, all the fonts, but the placement of the button, what the button said, how it worked did not change. That changed slowly over months, right? So suddenly, and the contrast ratio also on the screen did not change. So if you knew there was a dark button on this side of the screen, the button was still dark on this side of the screen. even though in different color. So even your mental models, right, do not have to change at all. You do not need to train your staff at all when I redesign my software. That is my advantage. That's why, because if I redesign, then you will get a chance to think, okay, now my staff doesn't know any software anyway. So why don't I go to cheaper software so I don't have to retrain my staff? Earlier I was not going because the retraining cost was a lot. Now
Hmm.
you have made a zero because now my staff doesn't know either of the software, right?
Hmm.
This is understanding of design of building behaviors, building advantage, building moat, right?
Yeah.
Now that's why that is why Figma is such a killer tool, right? They're giving it to free for individuals. Now all these students, freelancers will come to big companies, go like, I only know Figma. I'm
Yeah.
only Figma because Adobe. Why not Adobe? Adobe was paid, right? And they stopped me from piracy, right? So Figma was free. Now you know Figma. They will have world dominance in generations to come, right?
Hmm.
So these are small things that you start to think like a designer. You realize how do you build behavioral advantage of doing things, right? Toothbrushing now it's a behavioral advantage. You won't feel right if you don't brush your teeth. It just smells
Yeah.
wrong and everything. Hard to imagine that for the longest time in human history we did not brush our teeth and we were just fine, right? And this is what building habits is about, and this is what you can learn in SaaS business. Again, reframing, think about cost of switching and think about cost of learning.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Now I get it. So basically, with Figma or with any SaaS product, freemium is a good thing for the long term, right? Freemium business model.
It depends, no, like let's say I would go back to cost of doing it, right?
Okay.
Let's say if you're doing video rendering, right, on your server, then cost of even 10 minutes is a lot. But
Yeah.
if you're just giving lines of code for free, like Figma, you just download and use the software, right?
Hmm.
The only thing that you're using from them is cloud storage, which if they start seeing you use it, they will limit it, right? So that is when they can start giving them for free. It depends on the model. Again, that's
Yeah.
when you go back to psychology, right? As thinking like a designer psychologist, you can
Hmm.
make a user journey map of what two decision path will look like, and
Yeah.
you can interview your existing customers of Figma to understand whether freemium was a reason for them to convert or not,
Hmm.
right, on their way. And then you can chart out that what logic will people go through when they're convinced or not convinced. And now because you have the logic which goes through people's mind, you can design a landing page which guides the user through that entire logic. And now you're guiding their entire decision making process in subconsciously without even them realizing that why does this website keep answering every question and every doubt that I have?
Hmm. Yeah.
Because we have researched about it. I remember this one customer I was showing our payment links to. He signs up right in front of me. He's like, I'm going to sign up. Signs up. And we show him on dashboard, test payment link. He clicks on test payment
Hmm.
link. That page opens up. He fills in his details and the card payment page opens up. And on that page, he sees a banner. Don't worry. Go ahead and make the payment. We will not charge you any fee for this payment because you want to test the system. And he's like, how did you know? He was shot back in his seat. How did you know that I was just now thinking, will I be charged for this payment or not? Because I've interviewed hundreds of customers who did the same thing. I know what's going through your mind so much so I can impress you with the right messaging at the right spot and make it impossible for you not to convert, right? And therefore guarantee that my funnel is so well designed, right? And back in InstaMojo, our funnel was that great that I can still guarantee you that you can copy that onboarding from InstaMojo and onboard any enterprise customer in India.
Hmm.
Guaranteed. Any enterprise customer. It's that good an onboarding.
Wow. Okay. Damn, man, that confidence. Whoa. Okay, so when it comes to, I wanted to ask you one more question is that you mentioned that you worked at InstaMojo and Headout. InstaMojo, which is mainly a B2B, and Headout, which is B2C, right?
Right.
Yeah, so like, were there any differences when it came to marketing and the design of both the companies when you're marketing it for a business as a customer or otherwise just normal people and consumers as a customer? Were there any differences?
There are huge, massive differences actually, if I think
Okay.
about it, and there's many similarities as well.
Okay.
And both surprise me. Both surprise me, right? For example, let's pick up B2B first, right? Where you realize that the decision maker, the person who writes the check, and the person who decides, and the person who uses a SaaS software are completely three different people or three different teams.
Yeah.
CTO will sign off the software, CTO's assistant will write the check, and CTO's entire staff will use the software.
Yeah.
CTO will never touch it. Like, like imagine writing. So you have to think of the entire team's conversion funnel, right?
Yeah.
You're showing one ad to CTO, you're showing one ad to CFO, you're showing another ad, hoping that they all talk. You all
Yeah.
have make this happen, right? Or you're producing that kind of content on LinkedIn.
Hmm.
Here, the CTO of why they refuse to integrate payment gateways and use InstaMojo instead,
Yeah.
right? Like CTOs are like, why is my team wasting time when doing this? You create that FOMO and all those, right?
Yeah.
So at an individual level, it works like consumer. FOMO works, messaging works, all those works, right?
Hmm.
But for the full sales cycle to happen, you need to know every person in the chain and be able to address them and know whether it is worth addressing them or not. In many cases, the final person who uses SaaS is not even is asked about whether what their choice is. There's
Hmm.
no point in showing them ads. What is the point in showing them tutorials so they don't suffer with productivity when they switch,
Okay.
right? And coming to now design of B2B, right? B2B design works on reliability, high reliability and trust, right? Which again, coming back to staff, you have multiple people. I don't want to retrain them. Reliability is of utmost importance. So reliability in B2B design is of utmost importance. And
Yeah.
then marketing, the way we already spoke about, is how you address multiple people and their psychology, right?
Hmm.
Now let's go to head out and B2C, right? Now you're talking about a completely different kind of decision maker. Often there may be two people, maybe it's a family, maybe it's not. Like, it's very emotional dynamics, right?
Yeah.
It's emotional in a different sense of setting, right? It
Hmm.
can be the person here also, the person writing the check and the decision making can be different, but the relationship and influence is much different than
Yeah.
each other, right? And it's largely emotionally driven. That's why so many brands you will see now targeting kids on TikTok. So
Yeah.
eventually they influence their parents' buying decision behavior, right?
Hmm.
Real long-term trajectory on top of that one, because what kind of food you get in your kitchen, kids do have a lot of say in it,
Yeah.
right? So that is the kind of thinking that you approach there. And in B2C, quality signaling, all these things matter. In B2C design, the mark of quality, delight, polishedness takes over, right? Because that's how if your website looks shit, I'm sorry, I'm not going to trust it. That's just how it is. And the
Yeah.
opposite is also true. People end up trusting fishy and shady websites, right? Which are a spam or like fraud, because they're so well designed, because they copy design, right? So
Yeah.
design cuts in both ways as well. There's so many phishing attempts. I remember it used to be in school. People will send a link which will look like Facebook. You'll try to log in
Yeah.
and have your username password, right? How did that happen? Design again, right? So because the designs match so well, your brain did not even question it for 1 second,
Hmm.
right? That is why browser started designing those green and red
Yeah.
bars to make you alert about whether this looks legit or not. This is how B2C changes, right? In B2C, the emotional acuity increases because the cross checking between teams decreases, cross questioning decreases. The quality and the polishedness and the emotionality of design
Hmm.
starts to matter more than the reliability at times of design as well. That is why you will truly see Apple as a consumer product at times in the showing consumerness of their products at times, like we spoke about, of Macs heating up, of my MacBook and your MacBook heating up right now,
Yeah.
because in the end they do think about these products in terms of a consumer end product, not an enterprise end product where they can really optimize for cooling, right? And that is what the priority will look like. But where you see is them putting in an effort into emotionality of design, right? They're
Hmm.
emotional about rounded edges. They're emotional about everything. Versus Samsung coming out of the phone where literally no two corners are same. And why no two corners are same? Because the legal team did not want a lawsuit. So that's another way to design, right? So
Yeah.
so there are massive differences in marketing as well, because again, the kind of messaging you also do is very emotional. You will realize, and you will know that from your marketing experience, whether you're selling cosmetics to clothing to whether you're selling backpack, the more emotional, the more niche the messaging is, the harder it hits home, the more margin you may take home, and the more scope you get. Otherwise, if you have a generic, like, if you do like a sabzi wala, like backpack le lo, like, then it,
Yeah.
it, it, it doesn't work very well, right?
Hmm. Good to know. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. So niching down, it helps you to charge a premium basically,
Yeah.
higher margins. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so I think that's pretty much, yeah, that marks all of my questions. Now, coming to the audience questions. So that's like pretty much, yeah, that's just like half completed and it's like 56 minutes recorded. Damn.
Told you, told you it's gonna be at least an hour.
Yeah, actually, to be honest, I didn't believe you when you said that before we started recording. But yeah, man, actually, it's almost an hour already. Okay, so, yeah, so just a couple of audience questions as well, just like five, six questions as well. They're mainly relating to freelancing, and as you know, most probably know, my audience is mainly like our age, like just youngsters who are into freelancing and this whole digital this thing and who are interested in getting into that, mainly have a potential but just don't know where to put it, you know. So basically I'll just start saying like kind of like a rapid fire kind of thing. So I'll just start saying all of these questions and yeah, let's see. So basically number one, how to gain projects in a competitive freelancing field.
Make sure you understand that people are not buying freelancing from you. They are buying the end result, which is peace of mind. The more peace of
Okay.
mind you can guarantee in this competitive world, the more
Hmm.
you will have.
Wow, okay, fine. So it's basically like, oh shit, yeah, dude, nobody's put it that way. That's why I've never heard one person who's put freelancing in such a way. Because when it comes to, oh my God, actually I'm speechless right now. First question, I'm speechless. Done. Okay, so number two, how to get a design internship or job from a big company without a degree.
Make
Is
sure you
that
have
possible first? Is that
yes,
possible?
it's
Yes?
possible. It's been done countless times, and
Okay.
here's how you do it.
Okay.
Right, you build a solid case study, interviewing 100 of their customers
Hmm.
on a pain point that they are very scared about, and address it out in public and solve it. Right.
Hmm.
Once you do that, once you pinpoint their problem, which you research from their customers and show in design how to solve it, and send it to 20 design managers on in their company, because they're a big
Hmm.
company, they'll have 20 design managers. Just
Hmm.
send on LinkedIn. Just send with a cover letter. You will hear it back.
Okay, perfect. That explains it. Okay, next, when it comes to design, mainly design actually, I mean, every single design freelancer has gone through this problem, which is stress with clients. Like you send over 20 pieces of a graphic design, 20 different variations or alternatives towards a graphic design, and every single one the client disagrees, declines it,
Yeah.
rejects it. So how do you reduce your stress? If you can't completely demolish it, how can you at least reduce your stress with clients?
I love that question specifically because I, as a freelancer and a person who ran design agency, suffered from that a lot till I started figuring some basic pieces out. I realized the biggest mistake I was making as a freelancer and as an agency owner. I thought the client knows what they want and knows as much about design as I do. So when I present 20 options, they know how to pick. They're
Hmm.
just not able to pick, or they just don't like any option.
Hmm.
Later, I realized my first job actually I had to do was spend more time asking them questions before I even pick up my mouse to design anything,
Yeah.
or touch my anything. So that was my first thing. Ask question, more question, more question. Do you like this? Why do you like this? How about this? How about this? How about this? We started building collective mood boards where
Okay.
it was, and then clients started realizing when it was being visualized that, boss, I thought I wanted X, but it's clear I did not want X. Now
Yeah.
we're having a different project and conversation,
Hmm.
right? So I realized, and that is why I started getting hired for as well. Because if you thought what you want as a client, but five freelancers failed you, that's when you came to me, because I'll not build a single pixel, and I will have 10 meetings with you, asking you
Hmm.
question after question after question after question after question, till you have explained each and every item to me, and I will highlight each and every contradiction you have. I
Hmm.
want simple, but everything should be there. I want this, but this should be there. How do you reconcile? Give me an example. Give me an example. Give me an example. Right? Like I till I got the clarity, I did not start designing. So spend time understanding what they actually want and asking questions. You
Hmm.
will not regret it. The client will not regret it. It's much better to ask 100 questions before than to be in middle of process, because by the time client also starts to get cold feet, boss, that person has started designing now to pay, and they are nowhere close to my vision. In fact, they're confusing me more. right? Second thing to realize is it's not your job to send 20 iterations, 20 versions, and just go like pick one. That's the
Hmm.
worst freelancer and designer possible. It's your job to go like, I'm going to show you 3 options, not
Okay.
20,
Okay.
3 options, and guide you through what those options mean and how they affect the customer, because that's your job as a designer. That's not their job as a designer. And then ask you to pick, and ask you not which one do you like better, which one you like better and why. So you can guide the process. Remember, as a client, me and you agree, it's a mutual process. It's not I design, you say yes, no. That's not how it works. I design, you guide. That's how it works, right? So setting that expectation clearly,
Yeah.
asking follow-up questions, and again guiding the clients through how to decide will change your career as a freelancer.
Perfect. Perfect. Okay. So, next, what do you think is the best freelancing site right now? Like, in your opinion?
Twitter and Instagram, I think.
Twitter. Okay, Twitter and Instagram. Okay, Instagram, I get it. Okay, why Twitter?
Because on Twitter, I've seen countless people publish links to their case study, their research articles, their work. Hey, check out! I launched this. Hey, check out this person.
Yeah.
So one, it was very strange. Somebody was looking for a copy editor, and somebody retweeted a really nice book that was nicely written, and it did finally my work after 6 months showing results because they were the copy editor on that, and that's how somebody discovered them and hired them because their style is what they needed, and in the expertise that they needed. So you never know where you're gonna get it. Keep putting your work out there. YouTube is another great place. If you know how to use it, YouTube is an amazing place. Make videos that make you redundant to your clients, and your client will still hire you. You know why? Because the YouTube video did the sales pitch to make sure you know what you're talking about. And I was anyways gonna hire somebody because I don't have the time.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
people who have the time were anyway gonna watch somebody else's tutorial and not gonna pay you anyway. So that would be my strategy if I was a freelancing at this point. I would make videos of each and every case study. I would make detailed case studies, making sure that I a claim to the quality of work that I put out there, and b if you're watching this and if you have time, my tutorial, then you don't need to hire me. But if you don't have time, which means you are actually in business, that's how you don't have time, you better hire me because that's when we're talking.
Smart. Yeah. Okay. I think I'm gonna apply that to me as well with the new YouTube channel. Few case studies I'll throw out there in a couple of weeks or months or something.
Yep.
Let's see how it
Pick up
goes.
a kid who wants to learn this, help them out, put that case study out there,
Yeah.
and yeah,
Exactly. Let's see how it goes. I'll send you the results as well. If I get any leads or anything, I'll send that to you as well.
perfect.
Okay, so okay, next. What are your favorite design and freelancing books?
Wow, that is nice. I think favorite design book that all marketers should read is called "Don't Make Me Think."
Don't make
That's
me think. Okay.
Yeah, it's by Steve Krug. I forget his last name. It's literally what it talks about, what design is about. It summarizes design in its title. Do not make me think. That's the great design.
Hmm.
I entered the door, I pressed the lift button, I reached my house. Don't make me think. That's good design, right? So read that book. And in terms of freelancing, it's not strictly a freelancing book, but I think it speaks great deal about how ads, pitching, and all these things work, which
Hmm.
is a guide to writing CV. I think it's by some publication. I think a guide to writing CVs and resumes. If you search, it will be one of the top bestseller books. What it talks about is that your pitch, your cover letters, your freelance pitch, your quotations, all of these things are ads, right? So
Okay.
you have to think of these as ads, right?
Hmm.
And once you start thinking of these as ads, that I'm going to guide attention, there's going to
Yeah.
be conversion rate, there's going to be callback rate, your world changes. You will never write your CV or your pitch the same way ever again.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Perfect. Okay. And okay, last question. What's the
Oh,
one
last thing,
piece?
sorry, one last book
Yeah.
before I. Uh, uh, this book is called "What the CEO Wants You to Know." Whether you're a designer, marketer, or like a freelancer, what the CEO wants you to know. This will help you figure out, especially when you're dealing with bigger clients, or what's going on.
Okay, fine. I think that sounds interesting. The title only, I don't know, it sounded appealing. Okay.
It's very
Uh,
good.
yeah, so I'll check all these three books out definitely. And last question, I've got one more thing, is that what's the one thing that a freelancer should do right after watching or hearing this episode?
Start producing a lot, documenting everything you do and putting that content out there. Make content out of that documentation. Not only will it help you track your own progress, help you charge better, know your own expertise, but building a public library of work is the only way in this modern world to build the strong internet career that you want. And if you're freelancing and watching this video, most likely you're interested in a self-made career, right? You're interested in a self-made career. And if you want a great self-made career, put your work out there. Keep putting it out there. Put it on Twitter. Put it on Facebook. Put it on TikTok. Put it on Instagram. Put it on IGTV. Put it on YouTube. Every platform you find, they launch a new social network. You sign up there and you put it out there, because you never know where you're gonna find a person and how you're gonna collaborate and how it will change your life.
Hmm.
And that's how you do it. The way to get lucky as a freelancer is to make sure you have high inflow of events. And what do you mean by inflow of events is more people interact with you or your
Yeah.
content. And how do you make sure of that? By putting n number of content out there. That's how you increase your luck. And that's what you should do right away. Starting right now, you're gonna make a quick video. You're gonna take your phone, you're gonna make a quick IGTV video, and you're gonna tell me and Karan that you watched this video and how you felt, and you're gonna tag both of us, and you're gonna post it on Instagram and tag both of us, and that's what you're gonna do right now.
Perfect. And also, where can people find you? Your Instagram, your website, where can people find you?
I'm King Sidharth everywhere. You can Google King Sidharth. You can search for King Sidharth on YouTube, on Instagram, on TikTok, on Snapchat, on podcast app, on anywhere even on the godforsaken social networking apps, except for OnlyFans, you'll find me everywhere as King Sidharth.
Okay, and last question, why King Siddharth?
As a marketer, I think you should not be asking,
No, no, no,
but
why King?
it just random. It stuck around. So I think the story goes back to my school when Facebook just came about, and a bunch of our friends were creating each other's Facebook account. And I remember we were doing some play back in the day where to get in we learned about something called method acting and stuff like that. And just to get in the character, we would address each other as king and queen, because the play was about royalty and satire and stuff like that. So my friend creating my Facebook account did not know my last name and could not ask me because I was busy. So just added King Sidharth. And around the same time, I started having clients online. And Facebook was an interesting way to find clients in Facebook groups and all those things back then as well. And a lot of clients I found started knowing me by that name, and especially from US. So they assumed that's my name. And over a long period of time, it became such a strong brand. And I realized this has such a strong recall that it made not. I had several brands name by then. Like I was trying different pen names. The idea came from pen names, having different pen name for different topics. So this niche, I was doing one blog in one niche with one pen name, one blog, one niche, one pen name. I was a hardcore blogger back then. 20, 30 blogs I used to run, all with different pen names. This one stuck around so much. I remember calling up a vendor to buy some laptops and went like, Sidharth, I'm Sidharth speaking, and I need this is a laptop arrange and just raise an invoice or whatever. He's like, who's Sidharth? I'm like, Sidharth who does this. Sidharth who runs design agencies. Like, who's Sidharth? Who's Sidharth? And I'm like, King Sidharth. He's like, ऐसे बोलने का ना फिर like इतना time क्यों waste कर रहा है? Like then that's when I realized, oh, like this brand works so well that people don't recognize anything else. So I think that's when I decided that it's gonna be very hard to get rid of this brand name that I've created, and there's no point in getting rid of it because AI find username everywhere.
Yeah.
You never forget it, right? And
Yeah.
I had great SEO dominance on the name, even though there have been countless big boss with King Siddharth in it. You can't beat my SEO on that. So yeah.
Damn, okay, fine. So that answers my question. I actually had that question a lot of times in my head. But yeah, okay, perfect. So yeah, I think that marks the end of this whole Q&A session with the one and only King Siddharth. So yeah. So anyways, I hope you guys found some value wherever you're hearing or watching this. I hope you guys found some value in this. And again, do go ahead and check out the Instagram content of King Siddharth as well as YouTube. So it's super valuable. All his interviews as well. Go check it out. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one.
Thanks for watching, guys. Thank you so much for having me over, Karan. This was a lot of fun.